Good morning, creative warriors. How are you today? Hopefully, everyone has recovered from the heat, at least in the Northeast. We've had heat, um, orange skies from smoke. So it's been an eventful few days. We're on the other side of it. It's been a nice sunny day. I went for a walk with the dog this morning. It was really, really comfortable. It's not too hot. And I figured, you know what? Why not do the next episode? So here we are. Welcome to the Warrior's Pen. This is episode 8, season 1. And today I want to discuss a situation that happens to most writers, most creatives, in fact, and it's why most writers never finish. So let's discuss, because every writer has gone through something like this, every single one. And the ones who overcome this are the ones who embrace these ideas and face the situations that arise. They get past that soggy middle from the last episode, and they get past the obstacles that come up. So most writers don't feel it writing. All writers, at least all the writers I know, have great ideas, and they can start the first chapter, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6, maybe 10, and be halfway through a book. What they fail at is not the writing, but the finishing, because getting to the end, writing those two words, the end, one of the most satisfying things you can do as a writer, one of the most difficult things you can do as a writer, because it's getting to that end. It's writing and seeing that end at the finish line, right? Or being able to see the end of the story and being able to get there. That's the hard part. So what is the core reason? What's the main reason why writers don't get to the end? When you in your mind, when you get to finishing, it kind of removes possibility. If you're thinking about the end, the possibility of the story is final, it's closed, right? So an unfinished draft, as long as you have an unfinished draft, it's brilliant in your mind. It's incredible. It's the next best masterpiece in your mind. A finished draft is measurable, and that's a big difference. An unfinished draft is out there in the ether. It's kind of, not real yet, but a finished draft is measurable. It's vulnerable and it's real. It's palpable. I remember my first book, when in this series, holding this in my hand for the first time. It was completely transforming, because you look at it, you hold it, and you open it up and you look at the words. You go, "Oh wow, I wrote these words. I made this. This came out of my head. These are my thoughts in physical form." And that transforms you as a writer. And once you can get there, it's easier to say, okay, I can do this again. I did it once, I can do it again. But it's getting to that point, getting to the finish, getting to holding a book, or if it's a digital book, being able to look it up and seeing that book and your words. It's a transformative experience. So again, how do we apply the warrior philosophy to the writing discipline? Okay, well, a battle campaign, an actual campaign, a military campaign ends in consequence, right? There's a definitive end to it, right? You don't just fight and fight and fight and go on forever. At some point, even though it might stretch out for years, and then maybe in the midst of the battle, it feels like it's never going to end, but eventually, at some point, it ends, right? Either in victory or defeat, but it has to come to an end. Campaigns end in a consequence. Indecision is like, we're applying it to your book and to your creative endeavor now. Indecision is worse than defeat, because it kind of lives in this weird in between space, right? If you're a warrior, you commit to the end. If you end in victory, excellent. In the end in defeat, that means there's a lesson to be learned. And even in victory, there are lessons to be learned. But if you end in defeat, you go, okay, what did I do that was wrong, that I ended up in defeat, that I won't repeat for the next project? And that's the important thing. That's what we have to kind of grasp and understand, that you have to have an end somewhere. Okay, so how do we get there, right? How do we kind of create that setting to get to that definitive end, to end that campaign? Okay, something that writers hate to do, but here we go. Set a finish date. That infamous word, deadline, the one that we skate by. You got to set a deadline. And I know sometimes you're like, I can't set a deadline because I'm a pantser and I write when, when the inspiration hits me. You're going to have to adjust that. Set a deadline, put a hard date somewhere, look at a calendar, look it up. I'm looking at my calendar now because I've got a few deadlines. I'm working on the last book, the book 32 of this series, and it's due at the end of this week coming, of the 24th, 25th, latest the 27th, but 27th is the hardest of hardest deadlines, right? Set a deadline, set a finish date. It's good. The project is going to be done by this date. No exceptions and no negotiations. That's the first thing. That's how you start creating a completion protocol. Then lower your perfection standards. This derails so many writers. I can't send it out until it's perfect. Newsflash, it's never going to be perfect. It's going to be great. It's going to be good, but it's never going to be perfect. Lower your standards to accept great and good. You could aim for perfect, but you're never going to hit perfect. So lower those perfection standards, because all they do is hold you up. You rewrite, you get stuck in rewriting limbo, and you got to rewrite it until it's perfect. I can't sit out until it's fully polished, and then you never send it out. You spend all your time rewriting. Increase your consistency. And I know all of you have heard this. Writers write every day. And usually I adhere to this. I think writers should write something every day, but life happens. Emergencies come up. Things occur that might derail your writing for that day. But don't let one day become a week, and then a month, and then 6 months. And before you know it, you haven't written anything in a year. Increase your consistency. And this is why I say try to write something every day, even if it means writing 500 words, writing 300 words. It's something that pushes the story closer to those 2 words, the end. So increase your writing consistency. Here's another one that gets you accountable. Announce your deadline publicly. And I don't mean publicly go screaming it to everyone. I mean, find your circle of friends, your close, the people who know you write, the people who know, what you're doing, and say, I'm going to finish this next book by X date. And now you're accountable, because now the completion requires pressure. So you have some pressure on you now, because you said you were going to finish by X date, and you put yourself out there. You made yourself accountable. It's important to do that, because that's how you get to the finished product. So let's wrap it up. Let's close it up. Don't protect the potential. You got to really embody that potential. You've got to bring it up and bring it out and release it, okay? Convert the potential into an actual finished product. Finish what you start. This is a really important one. Finish what you start. I know so many writers who go from starting a project to starting a project to starting another project and they're continuously and infinitely starting projects. And they have files in their computers or drawers full of projects that are half started or halfway done. They've started 10, 20, 15 projects. And I imagine if they had taken the time to finish each one of those projects, they'd have an immense backlist, a library of work. So finish what you start, finish that draft, then come back the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And this is what I want you to understand, that most writers never finish because they start out and there's a lot of energy, a lot of momentum at the beginning of a project. But then they hit that soggy middle, and from the soggy middle, it's like quicksand. They start sinking, they start going down, and they can't see the end. Know the end of where you're going. That's the important thing. It's like the tunnel. Know where the tunnel leads, right? And when you get to that soggy middle, yes, work on that soggy middle. Make it work. Make it sing. Make it amazing. But don't lose sight of the end. Like if you're on a road and you know where you're going, don't just get caught up in the journey. The journey is important. Yes, taking the journey is really, really essential. But you're taking a journey to get somewhere. And in case of a project like this, in case of a story, you're getting to the end of the book. So don't lose sight of the end. Get to the end. It's really important. This is why most writers never finish. I'm giving you kind of like the keys to how and why you should finish, right? Now, if this video was helpful, if this episode was helpful, and I know it was helpful for me as I read it and as I created it and as I wrote down these points, I hope that you would leave a like, subscribe, check out the Patreon. So on the Patreon, you'll see a lot of the actual processes that I'm talking about in these episodes, because as I go through these episodes, as I go through these topics and themes, I'm doing this real time in my stories that I put on my Patreon. So in the description below, there's a button for the Patreon. Go down there and sign up to the Patreon. You can sign up at different tiers. It starts at free, right? So go there. And you'll see, I call it rebustifying or robustifying. I'm robustifying the story. I'll drop a chapter in the Patreon for my readers, for my patrons, and then I'll come back, and every single day that I'm writing, I go back and I revisit the previous day's chapter. I'll fix it, I'll tweak it, and then I'm off to the next chapter. And you'll start seeing the kind of like the evolution of a story. And it helps writers. I've got a lot of writers, aspiring writers, which I'm not crazy about that word aspiring, but a lot of writers have let me know, hey, what you do every day when you robustify, when you drop a chapter several times and it's changed each time, it helps me understand the process. And so join the Patreon. I mean, it'll help me out, and hopefully it'll help you out if you're a writer and you're jumping into this crazy adventure called being an author. So remember, okay, and this is really, really important. Don't protect potential. Convert the potential. Finish the draft. It's so important. Finish what you start. I even have it written on my wall. Finish what you start. Return tomorrow. Come back the next day. So even if you wrote 500 tomorrow, you say, okay, I'm gonna write 600 tomorrow. I'm gonna write 1,000 tomorrow. But the thing is, you come back the next day and continue. And as always, I want you to forge better stories. Understand that this writing process is a marathon and not a sprint. Forge those better stories. Have a great day.